Hey! Disney getting rid of Star Wars. Hasbro ruining Spider-Man for us all. And Loki. Is there a Loki family? And also, can I get that alligator myself? All of this in the show today. Brian, start the music for me.
Coming to you from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, in the heart of Uptown Whittier. Keeping Up with the Nerds presents issue 54. My name is Nick Valero.
This is Brian.
Renee.
And welcome to the show.
Almost.
I almost had it.
Almost.
The intro, because it's completely different of how we do it. So it's like...
Is it?
No, it's... Well, the way that, at least, like, ordering of how we did it last time is a little kind of like...
I just followed a script.
Sorry to get it.
I
It's a
followed a
script, guys.
script.
It's a script.
It's a script, and...
That part's
if it's-
scripted.
And if it's wrong, it's Brian's fault.
As production manager, I mean, sure.
If it's wrong, it's Brian's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of being like a production manager. It's like if something goes wrong, yeah, you guys are going to obviously blame me.
Yeah.
And if marketing goes wrong, it's on Nick.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And if it's social media.
They're just doing perfectly fine, by the way. No mistakes. You know, like...
How's social media going, Renee?
It's actually pretty good, yeah.
Yeah? No mistakes at all?
No.
No.
He's not, you're on point with all your like uploads and stuff like that, which is good.
If anything, it's me and Brian. That make Renee's job harder.
Before we start with the show, quick reminder, guys, if you are listening to this on an audio platform, we do have a YouTube channel where you can watch our beautiful faces for the first time in year one, or actually, no, for the third time in year one. Yeah, either one of those, but we've started a video podcast now on YouTube,
Yes.
if you have not known. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already. We also have a website, keepingupwiththenerds.com, where you guys can get all your information on when things release. And we do have projects coming up soon that will be posted on that website. So follow us.
Absolutely.
Twitter, Instagram, Keeping Up With The Nerds as well. And am I forgetting something? Facebook. If you have a Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
You know those social media things that we were talking about? Those?
Yeah, all of
Yeah,
those.
all
right?
those,
Those
every one of
things,
them,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And if you like listening to us only, can't watch us on YouTube, still subscribe. But we are found, or you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those
Podbean.
beautiful audio platforms. And if you are on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. What do you like? What you guys think of the show? At the end of it, of course. So, give us this episode if you're a newcomer. If you're old, if you're an old time listener, welcome back, guys.
In the comments, can you tell me how badly Brian's face looked when I beat him in the conversation last week?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because I'm not going to lie. When I looked back at it earlier the other day, he looked sad.
I was a little bit
He
sad.
looked sad.
He looked
and
real
defeated.
sad. He looked disappointed. He looked defeated.
No, I did not.
I
I
looked
looked.
great. I looked great.
I
mean, I looked like a Viking king. And
I looked like the Viking that was about to enter Valhalla.
I looked like I was ready to go to Valhalla. I looked great. I looked like Loki about to just set off a scheme, and it was great.
Was that in regards to the topics that we're going to talk about today?
It was. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. I appreciate the transition on that one.
Good little segue.
I pitched it. But what was it? The just to so that way we can pitch into stuff that we were going to talk about. Have you guys seen that information about Jon Favreau wanting to get rid of like the old Star Wars stuff?
Yeah,
Ooh.
him and Dave Filoni.
Like him and Dave Filoni. But you know what the thing is, that this also came up about 2 months ago. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago. Like this topic he was talked about, and then everybody was like, "Oh, why would they do that?" And then now there's a lot more like actual like news agencies like talking about it, going like
The
we need
much
to get
better
rid of it.
known ones, because at
Yeah.
the beginning it's I don't know. It's funny how it started to pop up more recently, right? Because this was a topic that you and I talked about before we launched year one.
Yes.
Right.
We were talking about this way back in like issue 40 or something like that they've been talking about getting rid of the new trilogy and kind of starting fresh. And that was around the same time that like the rumors about Jon Favreau taking over for Kathleen Kennedy were kind of coming up again. Yeah. Now it's like striking harder, like Nick was saying.
Well, you went to build your lightsaber, right? And then you mentioned how a certain when you were upon building it, there you guys go. Is it showing up well on the camera?
No, it's not.
Are you just saying that, or really is it?
No, I'm being serious. It looks white.
Oh, does it? It's yellow.
It looks off.
Yeah, well, because of the lighting. But it's yellow. They can hear it.
No, guys, this is all sound effects he's added after. This thing is actually plastic. He got it.
He got it at Party City.
He got it at Party City for $5.
He's just for a costume. That's it.
Yeah, right. He's going as
yeah, right.
For Halloween this year, he decided to go as naughty Jedi Knight. I'm very curious because he just told us about it. Apparently, it's very low cut. I'm super excited to see it.
It is.
It's something I'm sure Master Yoda would very much appreciate.
I don't think he would appreciate it.
No, but when you said upon building your lightsaber, there were certain characters that they didn't mention.
Yeah, so it was interesting because we mentioned it 2 issues ago, right? That I was going to Disneyland in the first week of July. No, the first week of June. I don't know. It was
you mentioned it in the first week of June.
Listen, he mentioned it in the podcast.
It was in one. It was 2 issues
just
ago. That's all I know. Yeah. But when we were building the lightsabers, it was me, 2 of our friends, and my fiance were in the workshop. And I can tell you right now that the experience is really immersive. I've been talking to them both about it, and they really, really sell you on the fact that you're not building a lightsaber. That this is a like speeder.
It's an actual thing.
It's a chop shop. Yeah, it's a chop shop.
I love the idea that because it's technically supposed to be it's technically supposed to be taking place in between like this like between the Resistance and also like it's in like this limbo area of like the Star Wars timeline where it's kind of like it's supposed to be a speeder chop shop, but in reality it's a Jedi temple.
Yes.
Underground. It's like an underground Jedi temple that has a speeder chop shop on top, and like you're making you know what I would have and you're making lightsabers out of it. You know what I would have really liked? I would have liked a junk saber.
Oh, a scrap like a scrap part.
Like scrap parts to make it.
So basically Rey's. That's what it essentially was.
No, it's not.
Because she built it off of like her staff.
They were gonna have another theme, and it was supposed to be hers. It was supposed to be a scavenger one. I remember reading about this, and it said it wasn't gonna be announced until after Rise of Skywalker, and it never came back.
Listen,
it never was mentioned again.
When she never was a Jedi. In my eyes, throughout the entire series, until she, she buried that lightsaber.
We've said it before. We have our things on it. And
then stole a family name.
We can talk about Rise of Skywalker. I feel like on another podcast.
No, we talk about it now.
No, because that's going to take up like 45 minutes.
So upset.
It's funny because when we first launched this podcast, you and I had an entire like 3 issues where we talked about Star Wars.
Yes.
Where it was like the new era, the old era, the new era, and then what was to come or something like that. Those I can link them in the description below. If I remember to do so you guys can go and check them out again. They were just issues between Renee and I.
Right.
I feel like Nick has some like massive resentment towards like what was
trilogy.
Released. Yeah, to the new trilogy.
Yeah.
That's
I don't blame you. But you were saying that in the experience that I was going through. Yeah. Well, like I said, the experience is super immersive. They really sell you on the fact that you're building a lightsaber and that this is stuff from like the past, like it does not exist anymore. And when they present to you the kyber crystals, you have a choice of 4 colors: blue, green. No, it's 3. Blue, green.
4. It's blue, green, red, and
purple. Yes. Yeah, you're right. So 4. So when they pull out the blue kyber crystal, they say like these were wielded by the Jedis known as Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker. Cool. Yes. According to that. Then they pull out the green one and they say this was wielded by, other Jedis like
Qui-Gon Jinn and Yoda.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Master Yoda.
Yes.
Yeah, so they mentioned those 3. Then they pull out the red one. You would think they'd say Darth Vader. They said Darth Maul, which was like dope. that's pretty cool to say. And then the purple one, obviously, Mace Windu, because he's the famous one.
I also feel like it depends on who's there.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think because the one I saw, somebody mentioned Ahsoka Tano and Ezra Bridger.
For purple or for blue?
For
Which would
really?
be interesting.
But before Rise of Skywalker came out, when this got launched, the whole like build your lightsaber things, they would mention Kylo Ren and they would mention Rey.
Because I think that's what was the hit thing, you know? And so
that's the thing that they were promoting.
Yeah.
That's the thing they were promoting.
So now that's kind of dying out.
Yeah, now that Rise, that's the thing. Now that the franchise is finished and how the audience reactions to those movies now
aren't great.
Yeah. So now moving forward, like you said, it could be a cast member just doing that.
I feel, but I do feel back to the topic of them trying to like possibly erasing these 3 movies from the timeline. I think it's really interesting just because it would be very difficult to kind of say, oh yeah, we're just going to erase these 3 movies. For one, if we did, then we wouldn't. Yeah, but the hard part is that we wouldn't have like a nice send off for like Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher would be gone.
Yes.
So even if you wanted to like remake them, that would mean that you would have to write out Princess Leia and everything like that. And that would be unfortunate.
Well, not to mention they have an attraction that's built around the new trilogy.
So here's my take on it. Okay, because if we're gonna go off of context clues,
right?
This is stuff that was previously announced months ago, last year, right? That they said that there was kind of this idea that they wanted to get rid of it. I don't necessarily believe that Disney would want to just basically yeet this out of existence and say that it never happened. I don't, and I want to hear your argument afterwards, but. Personally, I think it's way too much money and way too much time invested into creating all this for it to basically be gone. You have a land that's not essentially surrounded completely by it, but it makes up a good 80% of its existence. But 2 is basically like a resistance kind of like safe house, right? You can easily get rid of some stuff and stuff like that.
There's a lot of easy ways for you to repurpose stuff.
So the thing I'm thinking of them, or what I think is what I think that they're trying or planning on doing is if we're going to assume that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are going to be the new heads of Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy is just kind of stepping out of this. It's just kind of like, slowly easing her way out of this kind of chair and they're giving it to them. I have this feeling that instead of yeeting it out of there, what they're doing is they're essentially putting it as legends and saying that this technically happened but doesn't really count. And what they're probably going to be pushing in the newer trilogy, which we know is going to happen within the next like 10 years or so, is they're going to make this so that it happens in the distant future. So it's not necessarily referenced.
Yeah, so we're like far past it now.
Yeah, you could still mention it story wise and say like, oh yeah, the Legend of Rey and Finn and Poe and all of them, and Kylo Ren was like was considered stuff of legends. This is stuff that essentially happened. But I don't think it's going to be completely erased like most media outlets are saying. I think that is written more as like a catch grab headline rather than something that's going to be true.
Now, here, the reason why I was saying that it would make sense for them to kind of like slowly phase it out. And I think it's really easy to kind of do, because I can totally see Jon Favreau or somebody else or even Dave Filoni making like an animated series that's like, oh yeah, this is to explain what happens to the new trilogy, to the trilogy, to like the Poe and everything else's trilogy. You all right there, Chief?
Yes, I hear it too, but the mics are not picking it up. All right.
Okay, that was someone's bumping music out there. I was like, what the heck? Am I hearing my own heartbeat?
Yes.
That's Disney putting up like, they've got like trackers on us at this point. Going like
G Fuel. It's that G Fuel. It's making you
probably, man.
Making you bump. But it's making you bump, man.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, yet.
Possibly.
G Fuel, give us money. So anyway, but the thing is that the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like there isn't a huge there isn't a love. There isn't like as much of a love as for that trilogy, like the new trilogy, as there is for the prequels, the original trilogy, even the TV shows and the animated series. Like there is not as much traction or places for you to go, because I do feel like, unfortunately, J.J. Abrams really wrote themselves into like a, so what happens now?
They got really excited. They got really excited to do something, and it's just kind of not necessarily working for them.
If you look at it, like Force Awakens had a great kind of like set up kind of say, where they brought in Rey, and it's like, okay, where are we going with her and stuff like that. Kylo Ren being like, okay, he's one of he's part of the Skywalker bloodline, but he's on the dark side and stuff like that. That was all interesting, and it's like, okay, cool. When that movie ended, it's like, well, where are we going to go from here now?
So, funny enough, I'm going to transition into this. Friend of the show, Eric, actually recommended to me a great podcast called Director's Cut.
Uh-huh.
It's produced by the Directors Guild of America, I think is what it is. And essentially it's like different, they take snippets or like full-on interviews from premieres, essentially. So like if a movie is premiered at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, and then you have the director and the speaker there, they take that interview and they post it on there as a podcast. They actually had one. Oh, thank you, Eric, by the way. Thank you for recommending that, because I have been nonstop listening to those. I've listened to the Ford versus Ferrari one, Rogue One. They actually had one for The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Right.
And Rian Johnson was interviewed in there. And actually, you know what? I'll put it this way. That interview was very enlightening, because it showed what I want to say, that he had to filter some things because he couldn't necessarily say,
They hated my movie.
No, because this was, I think it was at one of the premieres. So it wasn't that he could say like, oh, it received bad rep and stuff like that. But you can tell that he was kind of holding back. Instead of necessarily saying what he couldn't show, he was talking more about how the process of him making this movie happened. And he essentially was highlighting the fact that this was more of like a handoff. Right. That he was excited to work on it because JJ left this entire new world, and he kind of wanted to make a different Star Wars story that didn't follow the same formula.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So take it as you will, because
I'm taking it as the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Take it as you will.
Dumbest thing.
Take it as you will.
You're going to be a loop, Brian. Don't fall into that.
It's interesing because you get.
I know.
To see how long I can get.
I'm trying to keep within the pace of the podcast that he wants. So
just trying to see if I can get him into a loop.
I'm like tapping your hand, like no, like, keep going.
Don't fall victim to this. He's the Sarlacc pit. You need to not look at it. Yeah. Don't fall into it.
I'm about to Boba Fett you right now. I'm gonna hit you on the back and send your ass in the middle. I'm gonna burp too.
I love that. That was
good. But he was essentially saying that it was basically a handoff, right? And he wanted to make this movie not follow the Star Wars formula.
Yeah.
To me, the way I took it is that this was a mess, and it really does confirm that kind of like take that a lot of the fans are saying, where it's like, yeah, this is basically like two different worlds trying to be mushed together, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
You're trying to make a ham sandwich with peanut butter, and it just did not work, and you wonder why.
No, it's not. You're not trying to make a ham sandwich. You're trying to make a sandwich with all of the proper ways. I don't care if you have to bleep me.
I care, because I have to edit.
That was at 2035.
You're gonna have to tell me afterwards. Thanks, Nick.
I don't care.
This is, you know what? We have to have a full-on Star Wars thing again, where Nick's on here and he just decides to like uncensored with Nick.
We're gonna have to do a Star Wars episode. I feel like
2 new show ideas.
Yes.
Brian's Bothers and Uncensored with Nick Valero.
There you go.
It's just me saying the F word for an hour and a half.
You know what? Like you can sell that as an art piece. It's just like Nick saying
Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just the different ways I say the F word.
Yeah.
Slowly, fast,
angrily,
just for an hour.
I mean, what if we actually did a Patreon exclusive show?
Yeah, I'm down.
We have to make a Patreon.
Yeah,
man.
We would have to make a Patreon, but yeah, we'll figure it out. But besides that, that's it's not. It doesn't make any sense though. And honestly, I feel like Kathleen Kennedy at a certain point didn't understand. I feel like Kathleen Kennedy didn't understand what Star Wars was. she saw money.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that was like her end goal, and that's not great. Because don't get me wrong, nearing the end, so did George Lucas. George Lucas absolutely saw the money.
Mm-hmm.
He saw the money. If you look at the prequel trilogies, that is a huge cash grab.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also because like he also gets just money off of just toy revenue.
Because he's a genius.
Yeah, that's like the smartest idea you could ever do when it came to
building
your universe.
That was a huge gamble.
Yeah.
Please move Sir Boba Fett over here, front of the stage, please.
Justin, in case
cash grab for toys.
In case anybody doesn't know,
Come here.
For George Lucas, the way that George Lucas actually made his millions.
Stop it.
I would say billions, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The way that he actually did that was toy sales.
Mm-hmm.
So what George Lucas did in order to get the movie made is he said, I will give up the rights to the movie, but I want all advertising rights.
Mm-hmm.
I want any advertising. I want to do any promotions. I want to make sure that I have merchandising. I want all of these other things.
Yeah.
And at the time, Fox went, all right. Like,
all right.
Yeah,
weirdo.
Yeah, like, hey,
this guy doesn't want to make money. Want to make money off of the ticket sales.
Yeah, because merchandising hadn't really been a thing yet.
Yeah.
Like nobody was really making a lot of toys for like movies, and they were just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
the idea didn't cut to anyone that's like, oh yeah, you can make more revenue off of toy lines.
Conceptually,
for movies.
toys are for kids, not for adults.
That's
and I think that 70s show kind of played on that idea.
Yeah.
Remember, because Eric Foreman would constantly play with his Millennium Falcon and stuff like that.
So cool.
you'd always have the Falcon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Red was like, why do you keep playing with those toys? Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's interesting too is that I mean he made so much money off of an empty box, and I have so much respect for it.
An empty box.
Do you not understand? Do you not know that?
No.
So back in the
Or I
day,
might, but I don't know.
in the 1970s, what happened was that there was such a huge demand when Star Wars A New Hope came out. Well, it was just called Star Wars at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is that when that all happened, people wanted toys.
Yes.
They hadn't signed a contract yet with anyone, with Hasbro, anybody. They were still trying to figure it out. But there was a huge demand for it. Well, when Christmas was coming around, they didn't have any toys ready for them to ship out. So what they did is, in a genius move, Hasbro came out with the Star Wars premium box set. And what it was an empty
basically
box.
Pre-ordering.
It was an empty box that you could buy
I just hit him.
No.
You could buy.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
So that it was a box that you would buy. I think it was like $70,
Yeah.
and it came with 8 different action figures.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was that inside you would open it up, and it had like the big logo saying Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then it came with a card inside that you would then sign, and then it would you would put your address and everything like that, and then you'd send it into Hasbro. And then as the toys became available, they would then send you the toys.
So they come in the mail, and they come in like plastic bags. They're all ready and stuff like that.
And they would come in little plastic. You wouldn't even get them inside like the little like box. They would come in like basically like right off the line. Because Hasbro is a bunch of geniuses, and you know what? And you know what happened to it? They made millions.
Yeah, and those
People
toys
bought 'em.
today
Oh,
are
they're
worth
so expensive.
so much money.
I would imagine.
If you have the box in good condition with all the toys,
So what's funny is that I'm actually a sucker and still fall victim to that kind of stuff because steelbook cases.
Yeah.
For video games, they did that with Mass Effect recently.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, you paid $150.
did they sell you a steelbook that didn't have the game in it?
No, they sold me a helmet that had the color changing visor, so it represented Paragon or Renegade.
You still haven't
blue to
showed
red.
me that thing.
Huh?
You still haven't showed me that thing. I need to
You
look
go
at
to
it.
his house.
Okay.
Man.
You need to be
it was
invited.
awesome.
First off, the other day when we were about to record something, I was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And then you guys went, "Oh, we were hanging out at Brian's house, and I was sitting at home waiting to record."
The idea didn't come up to my head, and it's also you have to take part of the blame too, because you were hanging out with me.
No, I wasn't. I don't have to take that blame.
No,
It's your house, so
no,
technically
Brian.
you got to invite.
No, because you know why? How is he going to invite someone to your home?
He could ask. He could be like,
How?
"Hey, we're recording with Nick anyways. Why don't you like?" Or we're watching the show with Nick or the movie. Why don't you just invite him over? So it's not my fault entirely.
Entirely.
I'm gonna sue you for 30% of the blame.
30%
I live
blame?
5 blocks away from you.
Yeah, you're getting sued, Renee. I'm not going to take this one. I'm suing Renee to take 60% of the blame, and he's actually taking 40%. 35, actually. Other 5% is Nick.
So
for not asking.
For not asking to be invited over to your house when I didn't know you were hanging out.
I can win this lawsuit.
Are we taking him to court again?
No, he's going to just lose and be sad again.
No, but that Mass Effect box, before you go on, it was the helmet, it was a lithograph, or however you pronounce it, of the Normandy, pin, a letter, and then a steelbook case, but not the game.
I love that.
You fool.
But I collect steelbooks, so.
You fool.
Yeah.
But back to what we were talking about. The reason why I think it makes sense, though, is because it's so jarring. It is really jarring. Like, if you look at those two movies, you can tell they were made by two different people.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because Kathleen Kennedy just kind of went, do whatever you want to do. And because she was so proud of that movie.
Last Jedi?
It's so funny watching interviews. It's really funny watching those interviews.
And I can understand why, though.
She loves that movie.
I
She thinks that it's so interesting. She thinks that Rian Johnson is really pushing the boundaries of like the Star Wars universe. And like, I'm really excited for everybody to see what's going on, just to like release it and just half the fan base go, this is a pile.
Isn't The Last Jedi technically the highest rated from the new trilogy on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Critics liked it because it was different.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So
but the fan base, the audience reaction wasn't good.
Do the critics like it more?
Yeah.
Yes, they liked.
Look that up.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
agree with that.
they
hated
it.
Rise of Skywalker.
And they hated Force. They
didn't hate it.
They didn't necessarily like Force Awakens because it was good, but it was an exact copy of New Hope. Yeah, that's why
it passed it with the
to them. It didn't feel original.
Yeah,
I think actually got a certified fresh. I think maybe for Last Jedi. I think. Hold on.
So if I remember,
Last Jedi,
put your bets on it. Hang on, put your bets on it. What did Force Awakens get? We'll guess. Okay, Force Awakens on Rotten Tomato. The percentage on not the audience score, but the tomato score, and then we'll do audience score. Okay. So what's your tomato score on Force Awakens?
75%.
I say 72. And your audience reception?
Oh my god. 45.
For audience?
45%?
45%.
On
72, 78.
72. Okay, 72 for critics.
Critics, and 78
on audience. Okay,
and
I will say this: it did get a certified fresh. And I'll start with the audience score.
I hate the world.
42%.
For Force Awakens?
No, for Last Jedi.
No, we're talking about Force Awakens.
I thought we were talking about Last Jedi.
I thought we were talking about Last Jedi too.
I'll do that. Yeah. No, Last Jedi.
I know Last Jedi's Rotten Tomato score was like 85.
Okay, so it beat that. It's 90% on the tomato meter.
What?
Yeah, they favored it. That's what I'm telling you. Critics favored.
Let's go.
Last
Jedi more because again,
this is why I hate critics.
It felt original.
Let's go.
Here's the thing though. If you like that movie, you're an idiot. But
so here,
he only says that because I see it.
No. If I have to have a debate about this one too, I will. But the reason why I say that movie doesn't make any sense is because, for one, yes, it's different, but liking it because it's different is a terrible reason.
It doesn't benefit the movie as
well. Not
well.
only that, but also it has a very dumb plot that has so many plot holes in it.
Oh yeah.
The idea of we only have one ship and we're going to chase these guys down in a spaceship. It's not like you're on a boat and like there's only one way to go. Send another ship the other way. You got radios. What is wrong with you? Trap them. You sent in a barrage of TIE fighters that took out the bridge and then went, that was too successful. We should stop doing that.
Yeah.
You killed half of the Resistance command, and then you went, nah, we shouldn't do that anymore. How does that make sense? We destroyed all their fleet. We did everything like that. This movie, not only that, but then we took half an hour to talk about the black market in the Star Wars universe.
The Spice Run whole thing, when they bring in the other girl.
Not only that, but also there were so many plot holes about if people would just talk to each other for 5 minutes.
So what
I understand it.
What I find funny is that, because you're 100% right, in the sense that, like, the film just doesn't stand up on its own as an actual movie because the plot just isn't. It's non-existent in The Last Jedi. It's non-existent. Here's the problem. If you're saying that if you like this movie, you're an idiot. I also think that if you like and say that the new trilogy is beneficial to the Star Wars franchise, I don't agree with that either.
I don't.
This is why I'm saying that if we're going to cancel Star Wars and say that the new trilogy is just going to be back cataloged as Legends, that's fine. Back catalog it as Legends. Because if you want something different, you can look at The Mandalorian as an example. Because The Mandalorian was actually produced in a way that made it so that it's not Star Wars, but it's also Star Wars. It's not following that same formula of Jedi magic and lightsabers. It's giving you an actual story in the universe that relies more on character development and plot progression.
But the thing is that the reason why that works so well in the Star Wars universe is because they went back to what inspired George Lucas in the first place. They went back to Westerns. They went back to a Kurosawa movie. They went back to like these like samurai movies of like what was it, of like the lone soldier, the lone samurai protecting a young boy, something like that. They went back to what inspired George, and you could feel it inside of it because the story, and not only that, but also the story is just so genuine, and it's so, because if you look at what was it, at The Mandalorian, there's not a whole lot of toys you can make out of that. Like you have the characters.
I mean, you don't need to make many toys when you have the child.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like honestly,
that's really true.
Yeah, I know, but think about it like that. George Lucas didn't. I felt like there was a lot of things that were inside the new trilogy that was like, we can make a toy out of this. We can make a toy out of this. We can make a toy out of this. We can make a toy out of
starships,
this. All starships, bounty hunters, everything like that. But if you look at, but if you look at
Boba Fett,
but if you look at like a lot of like all the Star Wars movies that George Lucas was involved in, it was always, there was a story. And then there were elements that you could pull to make toys.
Not with him.
Boba Fett?
He didn't have a story until afterwards. But he was still a highly marketable toy because he looked cool.
Would you? I mean,
no, he didn't. He didn't have a story until after Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. No.
So you could make like, I get what you're saying, is that a lot of the concepts and characters of Star Wars when the original trilogy came out were marketable as toys. The Millennium Falcon, Luke Skywalker, their lightsabers, Han Solo with his like signature gun. But you still have your examples of Boba Fett, who didn't really have a setup or story until after.
Sick.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, but that is the perfect design of how to make a character look cool to sell toys.
I know, but what I'm saying is that the fact that you didn't know a lot about him added to the fact that made him so cool.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that I don't know a lot about Boba Fett inside of Return of the Jedi or Empire made Boba Fett that much cooler.
Sure.
Because it was like, oh my God, this bounty hunter is just so cool. And I just want to know more about it.
Sure.
And I just want toys about him. I want to make believe about him. I want to do all these other things.
So you're going to stop me from doing this, but while Nick over here is jacking off to freaking Boba Fett, you're not going to stop him?
Because he's not physically doing anything.
He keeps talking about it the last like 30 minutes.
He's talking.
30 seconds, excuse me.
I'm just talking about how sexy Boba Fett is.
Oh my God, dude, I swear.
But
why are you against me, Renee?
It's easy.
Oh my God.
So, you want the truth, right?
We're hitting 36 minutes, just to let you guys know.
Sounds good. But what I'm saying is that I do feel like the story doesn't match. Not only that, but also what we're doing with the the Mandalorian, with the Ahsoka series, and everything else.
With the Book of Boba Fett,
Boba Fett
which
series,
wrapped production.
Which wrapped.
Done, yeah.
It also wrapped. Ahsoka's going to start as well, and I'm almost positive I already know how they're going to do it. I already know.
The Book of Boba Fett or the Ahsoka series?
Ahsoka.
What?
They're going to introduce time travel.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah, because they've already done it.
How?
They have?
Yes, sir.
When?
Star Wars Rebels.
I haven't seen it.
Star Wars Rebels. There's Ezra Bridger and the Ghost crew find a Jedi temple that Palpatine has been looking for, and you can actually see all of the major moments in the Force, and you can actually like travel to those moments and witness what's going on.
Who's working on the Book of Boba Fett?
Jon Favreau. I mean, it's Jon Favreau, and I think it's Dave Filoni. Isn't
if they're producing it and they're head of production, I can see the usage of that. But if it's not them, I don't think it might happen.
Well, no, because Ahsoka Tano is
Dave Filoni's creation.
Is Dave Filoni's doing that show?
If he is, then I can see that actually happening. But if it isn't, it's a flip of a coin at that point.
Well, the reason being is because in her logo, the ruins that are in her name are the ruins from that temple.
So it's like a little Easter egg kind of thing. It could. I mean, you could be. I see like 80% of you being right.
Not only that, but also the person that she's looking for is Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be your big antagonist. The thing is that at the end of Rebels, Admiral Thrawn gets taken to dark space by Ezra Bridger. So obviously he's returned. So that means that he has Ezra Bridger with him. Mm-hmm. And he is another Jedi Master. So it's like, okay, so what happened to Ezra Bridger? So, where is he?
Yeah. They haven't disclosed who's directing who's writing which what, but producer-wise, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Robert Rodriguez, and Kathleen Kennedy are overseeing it.
Well...
Yeah, I think Kathleen Kennedy's just on the...
Well, she's just there because she's
head of Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's how... And she was she was named in Mandalorian because she was...
Not only that, but also I really want the Mandalorian to be like mariachi. Mm-hmm. Or Desperado, because I think that would be
sick. A poncho.
No, have you ever seen Desperado?
Yeah. Desperado's so good.
But you said mariachi, and I thought of like old Mexican westerns where they're like wearing like their multicolored like ponchos and their big sombreros on the side.
But that could be
little
sick.
donkey, little burrito.
Because Robert Rodriguez did was it Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which was really cool. It was like a pseudo sequel to Desperado, almost in a way.
It is a sequel.
It's a sequel.
It's the end of the trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the end of the trilogy.
So let's wrap up this topic real quick.
Star Wars.
And I final thoughts on this personally for me.
God, I hope it's right.
If you're right or
no,
Kathleen Kennedy leaving.
I'm hoping that Kathleen Kennedy leaves. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, what they do is Dave Filoni is the master of taking what is not favorable inside of the Star Wars universe and making it gold.
Yes.
Because they're playing with toys. They understand the concepts of what makes a Star Wars story likable and appreciated.
Not only that, but also they have the greatest thing in the world of a lot of the times when they go, I don't know what to do for this character. What should we do? You know what we should do? We should ask George.
Who was the director for the episode where Boba Fett saves Mando and Grogu gets taken away?
That's Robert.
That was Robert Rodriguez, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you watch the mini doc, right?
Yeah, the mini docs.
What interested me was that the way he storyboarded the fight sequences was using action figures and having his kids doing that. And it's like, that's how you should conceptualize Star Wars fight scenes, because how many times do you just imagine, even as adults, like, do you imagine yourself in like a Star Wars scenario? I mean, I brought the lightsaber, and here we all were swinging it around like we were actually doing things.
That was so great. That was fun.
Like that's how you should conceptualize Star Wars. For me, I mean, are you done with your final thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay. For me personally, if I'm on board with Nick on this. It's like, if it's 100% true, good. I don't think they're gonna fire Kathleen Kennedy. I think she's just gonna step out of it because I think she's bored. I think she's just kind of like, okay, like, there's no benefit of it for her to stay here this long.
I feel like it's not boredom though. I feel that it's also pushing from the executives as well, because
there's no benefits for her to stay because her name isn't even the big name in Star Wars.
She's not selling it anymore.
No.
Because if you look at it, if Kathleen Kennedy's name is front and forward, people will not watch it.
It was front and forward.
If Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's name is, people will go watch that. That will put butts in seats.
Kathleen Kennedy's name was the biggest name when Rogue One came out. And
Right.
now that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are the ones that are in bright lights out there because of Mando, I think that she's just going to probably step down. We'll put it in quotations because, the execs might be like, it's too much money.
Yeah.
But the way I see the new trilogy kind of being phased out, it's just because the way that was produced, I'm not blaming J.J. Abrams. I'm not blaming Rian Johnson. They're both great directors in their own spheres.
I blame both of them.
I don't, because I feel like it's too big of a title for them to essentially say that we had 100% of the creative control in this thing.
Rian Johnson, yes, he did. He did.
I don't think so.
He even said, I made the Star Wars movie I wanted to make.
I don't. I still.
That's exactly what he said in several interviews.
I still have faith in Rian Johnson.
You know what? He needs to stick to mysteries and other like artsy movies because that's where his niche.
I will still
do not touch a Star Wars. You know why? You know why? Because Rian Johnson got all of the information that J.J. Abrams did, and he literally just flushed it down the toilet and said, "You know what? Forget it."
Okay, we need to move on now because we're gonna go in circles again.
He literally tasted victory last week. It was like, I'm gonna bury this guy alive. But that's my thing is that I think that this new trilogy was based on money moves and not something that was made out of and crafted by love.
Yeah, clearly.
Do you have any final thoughts?
No, it's just again I'm probably on the same boat with you guys. I just hope that Kathleen Kennedy at least steps down, and then at least someone new or Jon Favreau, or Dave Filoni oversees everything now.
Yes.
So that's it.
Well, yeah,
knock on wood.
Dave Filoni is like the appropriate Jedi master.
Man. Oh yeah, definitely.
He is the Jedi. He was the Padawan that turned Jedi.
Dave
master.
Filoni is Obi-Wan, and Jon Favreau is Yoda.
No, man, Dave Filoni is Luke, man. Because George Lucas taught him like he was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Is George Lucas Yoda?
No, man. Well, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, you could say that George Lucas is Yoda.
George Lucas is Yoda. So then, who is Dave Filoni? Would be okay. So if Dave Filoni is Luke, then Jon Favreau would be
Leia.
I'll sit on it. I'll sit on that.
Because Luke teaches Leia the ways of the Force, and Jon Favreau understood Star Wars, but Dave Filoni taught him what George Lucas taught him, and properly understood what George Lucas had to say about Star Wars and what really was important about Star Wars.
I just thought of Fast 9 right now when we were just doing the whole reference because of the whole Yoda thing.
Okay, we're hitting 45 minutes. We need to move on.
Renee, introduce the next topic because you were the one that brought this one up, interestingly enough. I knew about it, but I wasn't super invested into it as much as you were.
About the toys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hasbro.
Well, yeah, because it was interesting because, Hasbro, again, we're still going off of Hasbro toys and stuff like that. Hasbro has revealed the new toy line for the new upcoming Spider-Man movie, No Way Home.
Is it just Hasbro? No,
it's Hasbro and Funko, yeah.
It's Hasbro, Funko. What happened was that they delayed the movie but did not delay the toy release.
So wait, it's Hasbro. Is Lego owned by Hasbro?
No.
No. So it's Lego, Hasbro, Funko.
Yeah.
It's
Lego,
all three.
Yeah, Lego is its own company. But that's what happened. I don't know how that got mixed up. Or anything else. COVID was weird, I guess, and people just forgot about things.
COVID made everyone like really forget about things. Like
COVID allowed us to time travel a year later.
No, but it's so interesting because even Jon Favreau was like upset with Robert Molina. He had like an interview where he was just like, I was really disappointed that Robert Molina decided to talk about his involvement in future Marvel product, Marvel projects.
Why?
Because what he wanted is because Robert Molina went on an interview and just talked about Spider-Man, where he was just like, yeah, it was a lot of fun reprising the role, coming back, doing all these.
Robert Molina,
Doc Ock.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that interview.
Yes. Where he just started talking about what was happening inside of.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think like 3 or 4 issues. 4
or 5 issues ago.
Yeah, 4 or 5 issues ago.
And Dave Filoni. Not Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau came out recently saying that he was very disappointed that he had spoke to the press and that he had
about being in the movie. Yeah.
That he had ruined because he really wanted the audience to be to be surprised. He wanted that moment in the theater.
Why Jon Favreau?
When you see Doc Ock.
No, not Jon Favreau. Kevin Feige.
Can you get your names right?
Sorry.
My gosh, man. He's like, I'm going to take over the conversation. Yeah, you can't even put the names right.
My mind's still stuck in Star Wars. I'm sorry. It's still stuck in Star Wars.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, wait, how's Jon Favreau connected to this entire conversation?
The Star Wars gods already want me to go there, but the wills demand it. I'm sorry. But yeah, so Kevin Feige was upset about it. He was saying that I was really disappointed because I wanted the audience to have that surprise. I wanted them to be shocked when they saw Alfred Molina.
So out of all the toys that were released, Renee, what were the ones that were out? Because I remember the Lego set which was the Sanctum Workshop.
Yeah.
Yes, Sanctum Sanctorum with
not the Sanctum Sanctorum. It's the Sanctum Workshop according to the label.
But it's in the Sanctum.
Sure.
And but it also has the Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Rhino is in it.
Yeah.
In the Lego set?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You didn't
With
look at it?
I didn't see it.
Yep. He has the it's you can see the what was it, the Rhino's armor
Let's see.
in the very bottom, and Spider-Man's fighting it.
I'll pull it up.
Please.
But then also the Funko Pops revealed a certain thing about when Spider-Man has his new suit. It's called an integrated suit, but it shows that
in quotes,
integrated suit, because they have to change the name most likely, or it's a working name. Most likely they're changing the name.
Mm-hmm.
That it's an integrated suit, and that it looks like he's using some sort of magic on his suit.
Yeah, that he was
on
able
a suit
to,
in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he was able to figure out basically what Stark was going to do in that in the What If series.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the What If series, it's going to show that of Iron Man becoming the Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay. So there's that. There's a Funko that you mentioned. There's another pop that's a black and gold suit as well.
It's a black and gold suit, yeah.
Yes.
And am I missing something?
Yeah, it's the what was it? It's the new armored suit.
Oh yeah, just the plain armored
His new
suit.
the new
it has
armored
like gold
suit.
on it.
His black suit is also up there too.
Yeah.
He has a new black suit, which
That's a
has
black
like,
gold Funko Pop.
No. It's the red. It's the red and black. The one. It's a modified version of the one from
Far From Home.
Far From Home. They just changed. They changed things slightly.
All these different suits, man. It's like that's the thing. So if we're gonna go, you're looking up
I'm looking up,
the Lego set, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we're gonna keep integrating all these different suit concepts inside the like toys, okay. If it's a marketable thing, I get it. But as a Spider-Man fan, all the suits have different meanings because they all reference something. If we're gonna talk about that, like the Spider-Man game, when you can collect all those different suits and you know where they come from, right? So in Far From Home, so let's start with the what's the first movie called again? Homecoming. Yeah, Homecoming. It was a different version of his makeshift suit that we all know that he used in the wrestling match to get money, right? When he was, or the wrestling match that he did before Uncle Ben dies.
Are you talking about Spider-Man?
Yes.
No, I'm like the movie Spider-Man.
No, but
So this one has Vulture.
He doesn't go
he
into
comes
a,
back. No, not the movie Spider-Man. I'm talking that the suit that he uses in the movie in Homecoming is basically a different version of his makeshift suit that was used, in the wrestling match in the comics.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The way that you
Are
made it
you
sound,
awake?
No. The way that you
Are you
hold
drinking
on.
your coffee, sir?
Hold on. First off, the way that you made that sound was
Lower
that
your
in
tone,
home.
first of all.
The way that you made that sound was that in Homecoming,
No.
there was a wrestling match, and I was like, no, there wasn't. Are you talking about Spider-Man? Because there was a wrestling match in that.
No, it's the
I'm
suit that he
confused.
uses in Homecoming is a different version of that makeshift suit.
Yes.
And then the suit that we see afterwards that's given to him by Tony Stark is basically like a modified version of his current suit. And then at the end of Far From Home, we see the red-black suit, which is his original colors that were used in the first appearances of Spider-Man.
This
Right.
one he's taking on Mysterio.
No
Yeah.
Way Home. So why? But they're all No Way Home labeled.
So the
That's so
idea,
weird.
the idea is that what could happen is that one of the scientists that was helping Mysterio takes up the mantle of Mysterio. Because Mysterio,
Do we have Mysterio confirmed for this movie?
So this is another one.
There's
like a
lot of like
is that the
features.
Rhino suit at the bottom?
Yeah.
The one that has the
green one?
weird?
It's all green and black.
Or not the Rhino? Is it the Rhino or the Scorpion?
It
No,
could
that's
be-
Scorpion.
That's
Scorpion,
could be
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll link some images if you can send me those.
Yeah.
Sorry,
over
not Rhino. It was Scorpion.
Yeah.
My bad.
John
it was,
Favreau, then makes the suit mistake, and then mistakes the villains. Nick, you're on a roll today, buddy.
Hey man, I can't be right all the
It
time.
also looks like Spider-Man has some sort of vehicle,
That
like a
could just-
helicopter.
that could
could
ju-
be just
that-
being,
that could just be a toy.
Just Lego, just being Lego.
yeah.
Like-
I mean, that's the thing is that, and I want your take on this, Renee, because it's so. Can you 100% trust toys?
No, because
terms of their
mentioned,
stuff?
I talked about this with you
It's like
when we were at
50-50,
Starbucks. It's because Lego, and Nick said it too when we were at Starbucks. Lego or Marvel half the time gives them what to build as Lego sets, it's usually concept pieces, concept arts.
Yeah.
Where they just have an idea and they're like, okay, this is what we want to do with it. This is what we might do. And then Lego's like, okay, well, what do you want to make? These. Make these. Make these. Because there was a Lego set for Infinity War where it was Hulk, Banner in the Hulk suit protecting what seemed like the Soul Stone in Wakanda. And that never happened.
And it was just kind of scrapped out.
Yeah.
So you basically are saying that like these scripts are just kind of like we're giving like concept scripts.
I think it was also the Hulk coming out of the Hulkbuster. Right?
That's the one.
That's what it was. Yeah,
because they wanted to market Hulk was in Wakanda.
Yeah, but the thing is that the script changed midway through, and then they never told the toy companies.
So yeah.
So, but the thing is that for that. Because think about it like this: when they give a script to a toy company, or they give them like scenes or anything like that, they might change that script another 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Before it actually gets made.
So that's the thing, is that for me personally, at least, the Lego sets are always modified versions of certain scenes in movies.
Yeah.
Because I would say if you grab like all the Lego sets for a certain thing, bless you. Bless you, sir. If you were to grab all the Lego sets for a certain movie, they don't necessarily match up 1-to-1. It's always like you get maybe 2 scenes that are, straight out from the movie, and then like conceptualized versions of certain scenes from that movie.
Right.
100% understand that. But if we focus on the Funko Pops, those tend to be more accurate because Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I apologize again, I spoiled the suit for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So...
Well, it was a
Captain America suit.
Yeah. Well, no, because it was for me. Because I told him this. He goes, "How did I spoil it?" I'm like, "You didn't technically spoil it. You spoiled how I wanted to see how the suit looked like."
Yeah.
I was because I didn't know if it was going to be comic book accurate or if it's going to be like somewhat their own little thing or take on it and stuff, or maybe they were going to scrap that and just like do a different color scheme or something like that, because they could have done. Marvel does anything; they change up a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to the suits and stuff like that.
See, I feel that Funko is a better place to look.
It's a 1-to-1.
Because Funko tries to do 1-to-1 because they try to take things from the movie that you want to see.
Yeah, because it wasn't Funko that released those images. It was a different. I think it was Hasbro, but they were action figures, and so that's how we got it.
Tall action figures, like those like little kid ones. That are like a GI Joe size.
Yeah,
because
so
if you look at those, there are differences. Like what was it on the black and gold one?
For the Funko? For the Spider-Man ones?
No. For Hasbro's, the black and gold one.
Oh, that Marvel Legends one.
His hands are black and gold. On the Hasbro one, his hands are red.
Oh, the Legends ones, like these ones in the back right over here. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like, I'll give you an example for the people watching it on the video podcast. Like, we have.
You could take Taskmaster.
Just take Taskmaster.
At Undercity. FYI, if you guys want to come and pick up some stuff, advertisement for Undercity right over here, guys. But the and this is specifically for our viewers on YouTube. You can go ahead and, if you're listening to the audio platform, jump over to our YouTubes to see this
at 55 minutes or something. We're at the 55-minute mark.
Yes. So Taskmaster here, this action figure, this is advertised with the Black Widow label at the bottom, right? But this Taskmaster, it's not necessarily a 1-to-1. Per se, from what we've been seeing in the actual trailers and movies.
It looks like it may have been a pre-concept of what Taskmaster was going to look like.
Because he doesn't look that colorful in the movie.
He doesn't.
He looks more like stealthy.
Yeah. I don't think the mask actually matches as well, because even on the side over here, we see this. It's not necessarily like what's kind of seen in the movie itself.
Right.
And we still have the full Black Widow advertisement
It's a concept art.
It's a concept, yeah. So certain things, like, I get it. It's not necessarily a 1-to-1.
Things change.
Per se. It could change. But, going back to the whole Spider-Man thing, the Funko figures that were released, do we take that with a grain of salt? Personally, I think yes. Because those titles, like the integrated suit, I mentioned to you this at Starbucks, it doesn't look like he's wielding magic. It looks like it's something that's integrated in his suit that allows him to wield something. It could be magic because it looks mystical and stuff like that. But what other objects or artifacts are left in the Marvel Universe that we could assume could pop up in No Way Home?
So, what I think the integrated suit is him integrating Iron Man's suit. Because in the middle, to me, it looks like an arc reactor.
Oh, but hang
And they're covering it with like some sort of circle in the pop figure.
Because it looks like an arc reactor. And what I think is that he's integrating both Iron Man and also Doctor Strange.
That's what I told him. I told him maybe he found like, or you said like a relic. Maybe he's using some sort of magical relic to kind of like either power it or like to make it, more advanced.
And then I said that there's the possibility of Madam Web. Because that artifact in the middle does look web-shaped.
It does.
So, I mean, we could also... Like, this is the assumption
that
we're getting.
And then Madam Web does deal with reality and multiverses and stuff like
it totally depends
Spider-Verse.
on the Spideyverse. But I think it's... It totally depends on how the movie comes out. I think that all of these concept arts are going to be really interesting.
My God. Go on.
Everything else. But the thing is that if you do look at like that image, his hand does look like magic. So that was, and one of the things that was in the what if was that Tony Stark figured out how to imbue the armor with spells when he became the Sorcerer Supreme. So that way, instead of having to do incantations, he was just able to cast spells. And stuff like that. And I think that would be interesting if they took that idea and Peter did it. And then the reason why we have so many suits is because he's fighting so many villains. Okay. And I think he took a page from Tony Stark where it's like a suit for every villain, where it's like, I need to bend it. Like, I lost against this guy. I need to fix my suit and fix it and make myself better. Okay. And that's why you're changing up the suit so much.
So we're gonna end this segment with Brian's idea right now because we got to move forward and talk about Loki. So what?
I don't know. I always do this to myself, and I hate it because I always hype myself up for false predictions.
Yeah.
So it just occurred to me. Do you remember reading the Spider-Verse comic arc by Dan Slott?
Yeah.
No.
You've never read it?
No.
Are you serious?
It's actually not bad.
I don't read Spider-Man comics. They're for children.
Don't eat into it. Keep going.
Your minute's up.
Come on. We got 20 minutes now.
Come on, buddy boy.
20 minutes left.
Come on, take the bait.
Do you remember? I'm gonna block him out.
Take the bait, baby. Take it.
Do you remember? Do you remember in the Dan Slott arc for the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
How much they reference like a different multiverse, and they literally used. Okay, so if just a quick summary of it. They were vampires.
There's like spider vampires,
that basically went to different universes with Spider-Man to basically suck the life force out of them.
I'm sorry, did you just say vampire spiders?
Keep going.
So they literally go to different universes to basically kill off the Spider-Man for their life sources, right? From what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, they were using webbing as like time, like the different connections to different universes.
Yeah, there was a person that would oversee all the different realities.
Wasn't Madam Web, was it?
No,
it was someone else, right? And it turned out that the timekeeper at the end of the arc ended up being Kane, or he ended up sacrificing himself.
It ended up being a spider that they would use and stuff like that.
Yeah. So how interesting would it be? And I don't know why I just thought of this thinking about the different artifacts or the different thing that was integrated into a suit.
Brian, you're on camera. You're just showing the Black Widow box.
That's
right?
fine. I'm using it to not see you. So,
like the camera doesn't see your
face. Can I finish my thought? God dang it! I'm falling into the bait. So what if they're using that idea? Because they tend to use ideas from modern arcs.
Yeah.
What if that is the No Way Home, and they introduce the multiverse using the web that was kind of shown off in the Spider-Verse arc for the comics. And we do get the introduction of like Madam Web. And, that's the introduction to the multiverse, is that, there's webbing and it's all webs and stuff. And Spider-Man is essentially the key to unlocking and, bringing forth multiverses into this one timeline. That's all I thought. And then the introduction of vampires is how they connect Morbius into the MCU.
I thought you were going to say Blade.
And Blade. I don't know.
That's not bad. No, right? that's an interesting concept you came up with.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just hyped myself up. Okay, your timeout is done.
Okay.
Nick.
So
I timed you out
in my mind.
First off, if anybody was timed out in the video, you just had a Taskmaster box over your face.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I was looking into the camera, just making faces about like how stupid you looked. So In reality, who won here?
I did because I got my idea
in
across.
reality, Loki won, which we're going to talk about in the new episode.
Look at that transition.
Today is just you're the perfect like
Look at that
DM
transition.
today. It's just like you're just.
Look at that transition.
I'm trying to
He's
go
DMing.
off what you need.
That man looks like a
He's
professional.
actually like front man of the computer, going like, "This is how we're gonna do it." Loki,
Guys.
Final topic.
Final topic is episode 4 of Loki, which was called what? It was
The Nexus event.
The Nexus event. Yes.
Renee, do you mind giving us a quick 2-minute summary of what happened in this episode?
No.
It took me a while to process. I'm like, wait, no, as in like you want to do it or not?
So much, Renee.
I just always wanted to say no whenever people ask me stuff and just be like,
it feels good, right?
It just like it's
It
a good
feels good
change
when you
up.
do it.
I've done that
It-
to a customer where they'll be like, can I ask you a question? No. And they're just like, I'm kidding. What? I just want to see people's reactions. Honestly,
It's hard to process.
It's great, huh?
Yeah.
Because I've done it a couple of times, and it's always great because you guys always go,
like, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
No, but
thanks.
so the last episode of Loki, the Nexus event, episode 4, is shown that what happens to Loki and Sylvia on the planet, where it ends last episode 3. It's like, okay, how are they going to get out of here?
Right.
So the episode quickly begins with them accepting their fates that they're going to die on this planet or moon or whatever. No, they're on a planet. The moon's crashing down, right? And
Titus 1?
yeah, something like
Titan
that.
1. Starts with a T.
It's
1.
not,
No, it's not Titan.
It's not Titan.
It's something. It starts with an I think, or
I
something.
thought it was. I thought it would start with an L. It's like
Is it-
Lavonium or something.
Something.
Like that.
Something.
Lavandra.
And that basically
We
they
all are
are
right
they're
somehow.
like getting a little bit more like closer emotionally and stuff like that as they're accepting their fates, but it's starting a Nexus event of them about to die. It's spreading out, the sacred timeline's being broken by their deaths.
I feel. Keep going.
Yeah,
I can do
and that basically the TVA finds where they're at exactly at that moment and then bring them back to the TVA.
Right.
And that, Owen Wilson comes in and basically interviews Loki and says, what? Yeah, he's like, like, did you scheme with her the entire time and stuff like that? But we're also figuring out that Sylvia was taken. Sylvie?
Uh-huh.
Is it Sylvie was taken from her timeline when she was little?
And she is a Loki.
Yeah, and that she is a Loki. Yeah, and she was taken from her timeline from the TVA, and then we find out that the head girl was the one that found her and stuff like that.
The judge.
Yeah,
Because she was originally a Minuteman.
Yes.
Yes.
And that, and then next thing you know, they're gonna kill him off, but then what happened is that Loki gets through to Morbius by telling him that the TVA, everyone that works for the TVA are variants.
Not at first.
Not at first, but I'm trying to move forward with it. And that eventually it puts an idea in his head and he, grabs the judge lady's little time thing or little device and stuff and then gets the confirmation that they are trying to hide that. Tries to break out Loki. Loki's like, we got to work. Or they're both like, okay, we'll try to figure this out together. Next thing you know, Morbius gets pruned.
Mobius gets,
he gets pruned and then gets taken to the Timekeepers with Sylvie, and that we find out that the Timekeepers are not really there. They're not real, or at least the Timekeepers that we see.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, very Wizard of I was getting so much Wizard of Oz vibes from it, honestly. It was great. I liked it.
When I got there, I was like, I was right.
It's literally, I'm like, this is way too quick. This is only episode 4, and we're getting already the Timekeepers.
There's 2 episodes left.
There's 2 episodes left. And so then next thing you know, Loki gets to express his feelings towards Sylvie, but then gets pruned. And then it ends with Sylvie basically saying, "Show me everything. I want to know everything." Ends it there.
While I was watching that scene where he's talking to her and he's about to admit like his feelings for Sylvie, immediately as soon as I saw him just pointing his back towards the judge, I was like, and you get pruned.
It was about to happen.
That like you can see it a mile away of like, right when he's about to like admit his feelings for her, he's gonna get pruned.
End credit scene.
First, we get our first mid-credit scene.
There was no after. It was only a mid, right?
Yeah, it was only a mid. And we get our first one in the series. And I felt like as soon as Loki died, quote unquote,
I feel like
it was going to be more to it. And I was like, there's got to be something else after.
I feel like the next 3 are going to have that.
Yeah.
Next 2.
Yeah, and which also, Renee, I told you, so like when this show first was about to start, because remember how you said you heard a rumor that he wasn't going to be in the entire series?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Yeah, man. Like even when he died,
he came back. That's another thing. And so then, because honestly, when that happened, I felt weird. I was like, okay, so if we lose Tom Hiddleston at this point, then we're just gonna follow Sylvie's character, but it doesn't feel right. You know, you're watching as a show. As an audience member, you're kind of like that felt cheated. But then after credits come, Loki wakes up in some sort of, I guess, another Armageddon world. Where there's other...
Technically Earth, because you can see Avengers Tower in the back.
Yes, that's
the
thing.
And it's after the Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think it is I feel Ultron won.
I'm going to jump in real quick and say that the pruning of Mobius was done too quickly without any build-up to it.
Yeah.
And that kind of led me to believe that as soon as Loki got pruned, that it wasn't his actual end.
Yeah, that's the thing. When people get pruned, they're obviously in some sort of like either another plane or a limbo in some sorts. Yeah.
So, because that's, and I don't know why my mind went to this, but it goes along the concept of like, no matter what, matter can't be destroyed. It can only be reconfigured into something else. So I don't know why that concept came to mind, but I'm like, if you prune someone, do they actually get deleted from the timeline or do they get sent somewhere else? And that's kind of what I felt happened.
It's definitely.
They just essentially got dumped somewhere.
I feel that what happens is that the reason why there's so many Lokis there, because there was at least 4 or 3.
4. If you're counting the alligator Loki.
Hammer Thor, alligator Loki,
Kid
poorly
Loki.
dressed
That's
Loki,
Mjolnir.
Kid Loki.
He has Mjolnir in his hands.
Mjolnir. Yeah, but it looks like a toy hammer.
It looks like
it's a piston.
Oh, is it really?
It's
Steampunk Loki?
It's a car piston.
Dope.
If you look at the handle, it has a hole at the bottom. It comes up, and then it's a piston to a car.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't even notice alligator Loki until someone else pointed it out. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's alligator Loki. I noticed the Avengers Tower more than alligator Loki.
I love
he's like in the
Loki.
front of the screen. Like he's
Kid
like
Loki
right
is
here.
like-
There was a lot to process in like 2 seconds.
It's true.
Like literally,
Do you
I
know
saw.
who plays the Golden Age Loki? It's an actor that.
Oh, really?
That dresses up as the Golden Age. I'll show him. Watch. Hold on.
He's what's his name? He was in Star Wars, in Rise of Skywalker.
That's dope. I didn't even know.
Hold on.
He was what's his name? You ever seen Spice World?
Yes.
He was the manager.
Ah.
I like how I that was the only
Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, Richard Grant. I couldn't remember his name right now, but I
Gotcha.
He
That's
was-
dope.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
man.
He's well known for.
Spice World.
Yes, Spice World.
And other projects.
Spice
A
World.
movie he did in the 90s.
So I'll be honest
He was
with
in
you.
Game of Thrones.
He was
Well,
in Game of Thrones, yeah.
while Renee looks up this information, personally, I don't think this episode had much to reveal. Like that's.
Oh, he was in Doctor Who.
Was he
Doctor
really?
Who.
Yeah, he was in the Snowman episode. Remember?
Oh.
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant is like super famous. Like he's been in a lot of like British television, a lot of movies, stuff like that. He is a legend.
Do you think he's actually going to be relevant in this new episode, or he
Heck
was just
yeah.
kind of?
Oh yeah, you got Richard E. Grant. You're gonna
You don't
use
get
him.
Richard E.
Yeah.
Grant and then not use him. What are you, The Last Jedi? Or The Rise of Skywalker? Like, come on.
Full circle.
I want him to be used well, though. If he's the Golden Age Loki, like, come on, you got to really like work
Dude,
him.
I'm excited to see
What
how
I'm
he
more
does.
interested about is the fact that Richard E. Grant is wearing that Golden Age costume.
Yeah.
Because those horns are huge.
I just love that it just looks like a costume. It doesn't look like epic or anything. It's just like a normal costume.
It literally looks like a Party City costume.
It looks like a Party City
Yeah.
costume, and I love it. I love it so much.
For all
'cause
we know, it could be just a person dressing as Loki.
Yeah.
But that's a
No.
variant version of Loki.
No,
you know,
no.
like
I want
think-
Richard E. Grant to be like old man Loki.
Not old man Loki, but you know,
He would be old.
He was older.
He would be
was
older.
older.
Yeah.
He's in like he's like Richard E. Grant is like in his 70s.
Yeah. So they're like, personally, this is the lowest rated. Again, Nick, you're gonna say, well, this is why you don't listen to critics. Yeah, and obviously, because this is probably the lowest, or it is the lowest rated episode out of the bunch.
I enjoyed it.
Really? Is it?
Yeah, 5 IGN
Sheesh.
and sheesh.
Whatever.
And I think
Did you just
GameSpot
copy
gave it.
You just copy me? Did you say sheesh? The way I
I
did?
said whatever.
Oh.
Yeah,
said
so
sheesh.
5 by IGN, and I think GameSpot also gave it like a low score as well. But it wasn't received well, and I can understand why. But it's also because, personally, WandaVision. And again, we're gonna mention. I'm gonna mention WandaVision.
Stop comparing them.
You can't. Yeah, exactly. They spoiled people with WandaVision, and now people can't stop comparing it. or critics per se, not people. Critics can't stop comparing it to WandaVision, and it's ruining it. This episode was good. It revealed a lot of essential information to build up
solid episode
to episode 5 and 6. Yeah, it is a solid episode. My problem is this. With all this buildup that they've had, you have to wrap up episode 5 and episode 6 really well, or it's a waste. And you're going to prove critics wrong.
To be totally honest, I actually felt emotional with Tom Hiddleston's acting. The scene where Mobius gets erased when he's praying.
I didn't feel it at that. I know where I felt my emotions.
Well, no, the reason, watch it again, because it's Tom Hiddleston's facial expression the moment that Mobius is expressing his free will, and he's saying, like, I would like to do this, I would like to do this.
So you have a still to look at it. Go ahead.
And everything else. And it's the face. Go back and see it. It's literally the face when Mobius gets, pruned.
As soon as he gets pruned, yeah.
And when you look back at when the camera goes back to him, you feel
he's like
pain.
He's almost kind of like breathing in and just like taking in what's happened. Yeah,
like he's about to cry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you feel this thing of the first time that Loki finally doesn't feel alone. Because mind you, this isn't our Loki. This is a Loki that does not know what it means to make like repercussions.
Yeah, he never
make friends with Thor.
Yeah.
He never has these moments of like, oh yeah, like I'm not alone. And the fact that this is kind of like his first friend that accepts him for who he is and still likes him.
Yeah.
Because
that's Mobius. Mobius knows you're a liar. You're the god of mischief, and I know that.
Mobius broke him down to build him back up, and the builder is finally gone, so now he feels devastated for it. I felt most emotion during the back and forth of Loki and Mobius. Mm-hmm. That sequence of events was perfect because every time they spoke, it felt like Loki would have the upper hand, and then Mobius turned it around on him, and it just didn't help. Like, no matter what, it felt like Loki was never going to get the upper hand.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, that scene didn't grab me as much. I know what you're getting at, and I can understand where your feelings are coming from, but again, Mobius's pruning was too quick, and that's why I didn't feel any emotion, because I didn't think he died. Mm-hmm. I knew there was something more to it, but that sequence of back and forth was just excellent for me, because what was that noise?
I don't know.
Oh. Because there were times, like, for me...
I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
It came out of my mouth.
And I was like, did you?
I think no. You know what it was? I think I was going to interject, and then I decided not to, and air slipped out, and I went. I don't know what it was. I honestly don't. I
got 5 minutes left.
So Loki essentially was like trying to get the upper hand, where he's like, yeah, I was a part of this whole plan all along, and you guys were unaware of it because I've been planning this since the moment you guys picked me up.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Sibley died. Yeah. Oh, crap. Okay, well, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. Oh, something happens. Did you actually kill her? No. We were just joking, just to kind of get you to break down a little bit more. And so it's like a constant break and build, and it actually kind of like solidified that character development that we've been seeing of Loki, that he's finally realizing no matter how much you lie, you can't get the upper hand.
Yeah.
And that builds up to your scene where it's like, he lost a friend, someone that he can actually find companionship and count on. Yeah.
Not only that, but also especially with I like the idea that Mobius, the scene prior, gave Loki the idea and the confirmation of you don't have to be alone. That you can be whatever you want. You don't have to just be the god of mischief and be a jerk and everything else. You could be helpful. You can be a hero if you wanted to. But that's up to you to choose. You are not stuck in a path. Mm-hmm. Forget the sacred timeline. You are not stuck on this path.
Mm-hmm. Make it what you want to be.
Yeah, make what you want to be. Make your future what you want to be. And you are not. And you have free will. Mm-hmm. And I loved that so much. Are you okay?
Yeah. No, I just thought about like when we get to see President Loki.
Next episode.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That was something that was in the marketing of the trailer and stuff.
For the mid-season trailer.
I think what's going to happen is I think the world that they're in is Loki as president. because that would make sense because it's like the end of the world.
Okay. Why would they dump him there though?
Why would they? No, I think Loki has become like the god of this area, because what more does a Loki hate than being the lesser Loki? So they'll just be infighting.
So President Loki is.
So do you think President Loki is a Loki, but not this Loki?
I think he's I think he's a Loki who has become the president of all the people who's
like
been
Armageddon.
pruned.
Okay.
Because I feel like this is a dead planet. I feel like this is after the events of what's it called? The events of Ultron. I think this is if Ultron wins. It's and they're just dumping people here.
Okay.
And it's a
pocket dimension.
It's a pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Nothing works. All the technology's gone.
Basically, the timeline. It would anything that anyone does here, it doesn't affect the sacred timeline.
It doesn't affect the sacred timeline. They're all stuck here. They can't do anything like that. So we're just gonna dump everybody, and the whole world's empty. So that means that now we have an entire planet to just put people we've been pruning.
It's a stalled timeline where the Ultrons essentially are just going to disintegrate anyone. And because that's the thing, is that all apocalypses that we've seen ends with the destruction of the place.
Right.
Whereas here, it's not necessarily the destruction of a planet, but it's the destruction of life. Because you're right, Ultron's mission was essentially to kind of like cleanse Earth of life.
Humans.
And stuff like humans.
Yeah,
essentially.
Of life, yeah.
So what's the place that you should send the prune victims? It should be a place where Ultron is all
there's no
powerful.
life on Earth or in this reality at all.
Yeah,
and it's a place that is not destroyed.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
And I think that would be really interesting because that would also make sense, because if you look at President Loki, you'll notice that you see a lot of people. You see Vikings, you see like people from different areas and different eras and stuff like that. And so it would make sense if the idea of the next episode is we need to get all the Lokis on board. Like there are several Lokis here. We need to get them on board.
And our Loki is the one that becomes president.
Either ours is the one that becomes president, or there's another Loki that's there that like they're just trying to get him on board and stuff like that. So I mean, it could go either way and everything else, because I feel like that's a weird place to take it, of him becoming president and him going back to his old ways after this episode.
I like the idea of like it's a Loki that's president.
Yeah, that gets turned on.
Yeah.
Because that's the moment where, because he's like, did you expect anything else? And then they immediately turn on him and he's like, so what was the deal again? And I feel like that's a comedic moment that can immediately happen, and then it's like they're being chased and like all 5 of the Lokis are like, so what do we do? And like they're talking back and forth and everything else, and I feel like that could be a great like action sequence, also like some entertaining like back and forth.
Gotcha. All right. You got predictions, Renee?
I think that this next episode we're just gonna focus Loki on where he's at right now.
Nothing about the timekeepers or anything like that?
I think that might be towards like the end or something. Like I think the good half of this episode will be just like Loki trying to get back, and then when he does, that's when we find out what's going on.
It's too short. Unless episode
there's
6,
there's 2 episodes. That's
an hour each.
Yeah,
there's a lot of information still left over.
We'll see how they do. They really move forward with episode 4 a lot, though. That's the thing.
I mean, honestly, it could be that you're stuck inside of because I think that would be really interesting if they are able to escape. They get to a timeline and they're like, well, what do we do now? Like, how do we get back to the timekeepers? And it's like, okay, well, we need to cause a Nexus event. Like, we need another Nexus event, and they do something inside the sacred timeline that brings that brings them, because technically Sylvie is just in the TVA.
Or what if, in order to make a Nexus event, Loki has to become president of something?
He has to change something or anything like that. And that could be the reason why he becomes
disproves
president.
Ultron's theory.
Huh?
He disproves Ultron's theory.
Something.
Yeah, but I think if it's going to be an Ultron specific world,
I just think it's going to be an Ultron specific world.
Huh?
I just think so, because it's still Avengers Tower. It still has like all like the pieces. Avengers Tower looks like how it was in Avengers.
Yeah.
In Ultron.
But if okay, so let's stick on that path. I think that we're all of 3 of us are agreeing that this is an Ultron specific world.
Yeah.
If it's an Ultron specific world, the Nexus event is not the defeat, not the like the defeat of Ultron, but like the disproving, and probably why. Because you said, it could be that they're trying to overthrow the one Loki that does not want to confide in the rest of the Lokis. You're saying that the President Loki is what?
A Loki trying to make a Nexus event.
Okay, and I'm gonna add on to that. I'm gonna jump with you on this prediction. I think that the disproving of, or the Nexus event that this President Loki is gonna cause, is disproving Ultron's theory to save essentially everyone and say, like, you shouldn't be killing all life on Earth, because then what if this happens or something like that, right? And that could cause the Nexus event. I
think also Ultron's thing was that people can't change.
Yes.
Which people will always be monsters. People will always be monsters. They'll always look out for each other, and that the easiest way to prune that is to get rid of everybody.
Which is what this Loki's going to disprove, because he himself has changed. I will say that episode. I will disagree with you on one thing, Renee. It's that this episode that's coming up will have double responsibilities in explaining what's going to happen to this Loki, but then somewhat set up what is happening in the TVA for episode 6 to be the final one that wraps everything up together.
I feel like the big thing is that they're going to meet up. They're going to meet back up with Mobius, because Mobius obviously is here. That's where you also get that scene from the trailer where you see Mobius driving a car.
Yeah.
A storm. Like there's a scene where Mobius is driving a car into a storm, and what was it? We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's Mobius waking up, and then he's trying to find somewhere. He's like trying to find somebody somewhere, whatever. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm hoping it is an Ultron world, because I think that would be really cool. I also just want like a scene with James Spader again, because James Spader was cool.
As Ultron's voice?
Yeah.
He's a secret cameo.
Like a secret cameo of just like James Spader.
Does Mobius ride a jet ski?
No.
I don't think he's a variant. I think that he was created. And I don't think he's not a variant in the comics, though.
I think if you want to know, I think that the original Mobius was killed. I think the TVA was destroyed by somebody. And then, in order to show that the TVA was still around, he filled it with variants, with people from different timelines. And who did that? King the Conqueror.
A lot of people are predicting Kang's going to be revealed in here and something like that.
Well, because you already know Kang's coming up.
Yeah.
You already know he's going to be inside of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Why not introduce him early, especially when the TVA is such a huge Kang. Kang has so much to do with the TVA. Why bring them up? Why have a TV show about it?
The main girl, was it the judge?
Okay.
Is actually very known to Kang's storyline.
Yeah, variant. The channel variant was actually talking about that.
So it's one of those things of like, there's so many things that like are connected to Kang.
Yeah.
Where it's like, how could you have an entire story about the TVA, characters that involve Kang, easy things that are the Kang was a timekeeper that went bad and stuff like that. You have all these other things and not bring up Kang. And we already casted Kang. He's already
You don't reference
a movie.
30th century technology in the first episode to then not tease him at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or like at least have him like show up at the end and be like, that's the guy who's been messing with everything.
You think Kang is the actual time
keeper?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't.
He's the one
see
running
why
all of
not.
this.
I think he's a timekeeper.
I think he's the timekeeper. Like, he's the one that's running the sacred timeline. And is like, this is how I want my timeline to run.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that Kang was a timekeeper, and when they say that there was a war, it was the timekeepers at war.
So who are the other timekeepers?
And I think that Kang won.
Yeah, that's right. He's the only one left.
So we don't know. The other two are irrelevant.
Yeah.
Kang won, and his thing was, I need to keep my timeline specifically like this. So that's why I came up with the sacred timeline, and I have to make sure that it stays in specific ways.
No, he's right on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way.
It makes
sense.
sense.
I mean, you beat everyone else to the predictions at this point. It's like, you're right because you speak first. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's why the only thing I could do is just joke about the predictions, because you keep beating everyone to the predictions.
Just call me Babe Ruth. Just call that shot. I'm just going to call my shot.
He's using performance-enhancing drugs in his caffeine. That's how he's doing all this.
I guess
because I have multiple.
We can all agree then with Nick's prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
strong.
gonna,
It's a strong assumption.
I'm not gonna make a joking prediction on this one. I'm tired of getting picked on at this point for that kind of stuff.
Just because you're always wrong.
No, it's just because I'm tired of
So
them.
wrong, Mephisto.
And on that note, we'll close the podcast here.
All right, so just to wrap it up, you pick out the intro. Right. Yes? Perfect. Okay. So just to wrap it up, we do have a website, Keeping Up With The Nerds, where you can find us on, or keepingupwiththenerds.com, where you can find all the information on there when the podcast gets released, any new videos that are coming up, any new announcements. I will tell you guys right now, there is a ton of stuff coming out within the next couple of weeks, because we do have a lot of projects. Yeah. We had a production meeting today, and it was, an hour long?
Yeah.
We didn't get anything done.
We did get a lot done.
Nothing done. Nothing. We basically just sat here and did nothing.
Yeah.
Why are you so pessimistic today? Did you not have your caffeine?
I chose violence today.
I chose violence!
So keepingupwiththenerds.com, where you can get all that information. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Keeping Up With The Nerds.
I just thought of The Hobbit, where Theron was like, "Oh, what do you choose? War?" He goes, "I choose war." That's Nick right now. He just goes like this out of frame. That's what happened.
Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Keeping Up With The Nerds, where you guys can keep up to date with anything that comes out. Renee is in charge of all that. And then if you are listening to this on audio platforms, we do have a YouTube channel, Keeping Up With The Nerds. Subscribe there, ring that bell, like the videos, comment, get us to the goal of 100 subs, guys. We want that next. That is our next goal. Nick asked for 200 likes in the last video. We only got 3.
That was close. It's up there.
We just need a couple more, guys. Just a couple more.
Yeah, that was close.
YouTube is where you can find the video version of this podcast. If you guys want the audio version, in case you're listening in the car, on a jog, on a walk, whatever it may be. Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to leave reviews on Apple Podcasts. Mm-hmm. It'd benefit us, and let us know what you guys think. I think with that, we are set to wrap up this issue. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this issue. Nick, are you ready to wrap this one up?
I have a question.
Oh, God, what?
I can't remember if it was 54 or 55.
It was 54.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was.
It got me because he said 54, 55, and I'm like,
because I looked at him and I was like, and he was like, and so we both went, oh, man.
His second guess got me second guessing.
54.
54.
Nick, take us away.
And this has been Keeping Up With The Nerds, issue number 54. My name is Nick Valero.
This is Brian.
And Renee.
Recording at Undercity Comics in Whittier, California. We want to thank everyone for listening to this issue and hope to see you all next time.